Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Dizer. I'm here with my Dami Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a few quick health and wellness stories to review today. We've got a really good one to start it with about acupuncture. I love an acupuncture study. This one specifically is called AIM, Acupuncture in Menopause. Acupuncture has been studied in menopause a few different times, but this one was an NIH, National Institute of Health funded study. Which is excellent. 209 women between the ages of 45 and 60 with a specific number of hot flashes and night sweats in a 2-week period prior to the beginning of the study. They did acupuncture treatments weekly. Well, they had a package. Basically, you got 20 treatments over the course of 6 months, which is almost weekly. Mm-hmm. And then they had 2 groups, one doing acupuncture, one not doing. So it wasn't sham acupuncture, it was just one group doing it and one group not. But what they found was, in the group who did acupuncture, they had a 36% reduction in hot flashes and night sweats, which is excellent. And that's just once a week for 6 months. But that wasn't even the best part about the study. The best part about the study was the results maintained for 6 months after stopping. Wow. Which is very important to me.
Huh. So did it specify if they're using specific spots for the acupuncture? Or?
In fact, they just got a package of 20, and they could go to any licensed acupuncturist in their area. Huh. Very cool.
That is really cool.
So what it showed is that the treatments were extremely effective and for symptom reduction and long-lasting. And this is important because in menopause, we have different lines of therapy, right? We try and do as many natural things as we possibly can to balance hormones so that the symptomology is reduced. If it doesn't work, we do bioidentical hormones, which have been deemed to be safe and effective, and they're very easy to do. But we're always looking for other things to add on before having to do bioidenticals. Right. And this is another one of those that's, easy, 30-minute visit once a week.
You know, and it's funny, acupuncture for me is one of those things where it's not that I didn't believe in it, I just didn't put any weight in it. I just kind of was like, meh. You know, you see like it on TV and it just seems really dramatic, and it always is on TV portrayed by, someone that's like the wind and the moon and and they make it like really hippie.
Definitely. I find that too. If you talk too much about 5-element theory and the conventional wisdom of Chinese...
Right, but it's not Chinese medicine. It's always a white, blonde woman
tricky.
That's like... that's what bothers me too. It's not even represented by someone that's actually speaking. They're taking the terms of Chinese medicine and then making it like fluffy. Mm-hmm. And it's always like a blonde woman that like, this is what I do. I live in my car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it was always portrayed to me in my... So anyway, when you first gave me my first acupuncture treatment, I was just kind of like, whatever. I couldn't believe how powerful it was. Yeah. I was shocked, and I was a we'll just say non-believer for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. I was shocked at how powerful it was.
Oh, it's an incredible therapy.
So, for me, because I'm such a, we joke and say VSB, but I'm a very sensitive being. My body, I really try to not interrupt as much as possible and then just only use gentle therapies. For me, it's a therapy that is quite aggressive. It really works. Like, it really... So it's not something that I would just go get.
No, and what you're speaking of here, we call it VSB, but since we came up with this term, it was documented in the research. Remember, VSP, very sensitive persons. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She was listening to our conversation.
Absolutely. Definitely. We were onto this a long time ago. And in certain people, it can be too powerful. You have to really watch.
I don't think it's
the number of needles.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like it's something that I respect. That's what I'm trying to say.
Good.
Like, it's a medicine for me. Like, if this baby doesn't come out on time, I'm going to acupuncture. The protocol. Yeah, definitely. Like, I will be doing the protocol because it's so intense. I just know it'll work.
Mm-hmm. It's super effective, and we're finding it to be effective in so many things. I mean, now the most popular thing in Canada, anyhow, right now is dry needling or doing IMS, intramuscular stimulation.
I was going to go a vein route, but I have seen
absolutely.
One thing I would try, which I think I'm probably too sensitive for, but I will test it out, especially to talk about it here, is I have seen people that are getting the facial acupuncture for instead of Botox.
Yeah.
They look good.
They're looking good.
Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it, but I do promise I will try it at least once and then talk about it after I have the baby.
Okay, sounds good. It's currently not a part of my practice, but I precepted with someone who was doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to go there.
And very interesting, something like 80 needles in the face.
I wonder if she'd let us videotape it.
Absolutely she would.
Let's do that.
Absolutely she would. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Definitely, and we can post that online.
Yeah.
It's a very cool therapy. People love it. People love it.
I don't know what goes on in there, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but I've seen the...
I don't know if you can handle it. I don't... The needles are very thin and tiny.
It doesn't matter, but I've seen the results, and they're good. So we'll see. Let's see what happens.
Definitely. The second study I have today, well, it's not really a study. I really wanted to talk about this one new book that came out. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I've gone through some of the summaries online.
Okay.
It's called The Path. Okay. And we spoke about this a bit last week, just in private. And it's about Chinese philosophy. It's a new take on Chinese philosophy for sort of modern times when it comes to... Bridget, what did you see? Bridget, you can't be part of the show. It's a new take on some Chinese philosophers, their potential take on what it would be like to raise kids today.
Okay.
Which I think is very interesting, and I only want to share one point about it. And one point is the core point in the article that I read was that we should be teaching our kids to stop looking for their passion. And when I read this line, my ego was like, "What?" I mean, it was hard for me to even get out. Like I had to just now reflect on my notes because just saying that doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah, I've come to that place the last couple of years too.
But once you read some of the details about what these philosophers are saying, it becomes more and more like, oh, wait a second, yes, okay. So the point of this is, I should get to the core of it. It is about not teaching your kids to look for their passion because it's about helping people keep their mind open to potential change. When we focus on who we think we are, what our true strengths are, what our true passions are, if we look within and make decisions based on those, it can be very restrictive. It's a snapshot.
No, I'll tell you why. Because human nature, we have this grasping nature of trying to solidify and just contain and put in a box. So if, like, I know for myself a few years ago, and I'm like, okay, I gotta figure out my passion. It's like, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then I look into the world and I'm like, okay, well, this job does that. That's what I'll do.
Yes.
And then I just went with that path beyond, first of all, I wasn't creative. I wasn't, taking in any new ideas or creating something different in the world. I mean, now, obviously, I have a job that isn't a thing. Mm-hmm. Right? My career is...
created... That's so interesting. The book is called The Path. You've created your path. Sorry.
Right. But that couldn't have happened. I use the same theory with people that talk about looking for love. And I always say, stop looking for love. Stop looking for the perfect guy. And become your own whole human perfect person. Mm-hmm. And then that will happen. And I feel like it's the same type of thing. If you're focusing on going out and getting this very specific, rigid thing, especially at such a young age where, there's so much development to happen, there's so much world experience to happen, we've seen it. I've seen people burn out. I've seen, friends I went to school with, elite athletes that probably could have gone to the NBA, but by the time they got in first year university, they hated it because they picked up that passion when they were 10. And they loved it, but then their parents were like, okay, this is your thing, and we're going to give you our everything into this. But then by the time he was 20, it wasn't his thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the core examples in the book is we have all these kids who are basically on their university application at 17 years old in 650 words writing who they are, and that becomes ingrained in them, and that is who they are. That's their whole foundation.
So they shut off, they put themselves in a box, and they shut off, they put the blinders on, and they're like, okay, this is the core of who I am, and then they just stick with it. And that's why you have people that at 40 end up in a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But also, I can use this principle for what I see in the people starting to try to come into my different sides of my industry. They'll email me and they'll be like, okay, my passion is yoga and green juices and beaches. That's what I'm going to do. And then they email me a few months later and say, I'm broke, I'm not making any money, the universe isn't supporting me, but this is my passion. Why isn't this? Mm-hmm. And it's just this unrealistic pressure on this passion.
Yes. Definitely. And there's a resistance to change.
Yes.
And that's why I wanted to bring this up in the show, really. How is this applicable to health and wellness? How is this applicable to, living your best life? It's the conventional wisdom basically makes you resistant to change. And you can get stuck in a situation where you're overweight, where you're in pain. That's your path, right? You start to identify with that on the completely negative side of things. And I see that sometimes. Yeah,
so I think what you're trying to say is, right. So when you're stuck on following your passions, the first thing a lot of people will instruct you to do is, what do you like right now? Who are you right now? What is your daily focus right now? What is right now? And if right now is not your greatest self yet to be, then if you focus on what the pieces of what currently is and then say, okay, this is going to be my passion, this is going to be my path, you're actually working with broken pieces instead of whole.
Exactly. Thank you for explaining that, because I didn't really want to make passion the core of this. I think that it's more about this idea of being restricted to your the inability to change is right. What I really wanted to get across.
And that's restricted if you believe your passion is just only going to be made up of what is your current core reality. Like, we talk about it all the time, how it's amazing that 10 years ago, none of our life that's currently existing was here. So if 10 years ago, you and I based what our next 10 years were going to be, and we decided, okay, these are the things we're going to do, this is our passion, this is what is right now, our lives would look completely different. We wouldn't eat the way we do, we wouldn't think the way we do, we wouldn't live the way we do, we wouldn't look the way we do, we wouldn't do, our whole basis of our life would be completely different. So it's Michael Beckwith. I know I sound obsessed with him, but I just think he's so brilliant. And he says something about, along the lines of, when you start believing more in what you don't see than what you do see, what you will see will be, exactly. You will no longer see what you do see, and you will see what you don't see.
So true. And the examples are just so easy to see in this situation. 10 years ago, I thought that, how I identified was more on, I thought I was an athlete, and I'd be an athlete forever.
Right.
And that would be my life.
Right.
And the other half of me was conventional health, conventional medicine.
Right.
And I thought that combination of person was who I was. And it wasn't until I had a few different breakthroughs that my life really opened up, and I started to become much more happy, for one, but also healthier, less anxiety.
But actually...
And I didn't even think I was anxious at the time. I was just going about life. Do you know what I mean?
And it's so funny because I look back on that, and it's almost like there was only like a tenth of your personality coming through, mm-hmm. and the rest of it was just going through the motions of being what you thought you had to be. Mm-hmm. There wasn't much personality there.
I remember thinking the world wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And it was just me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
And you had to go out and survive every day. That's what I'm saying. Like, you didn't even have time to... who you are today. Like, I knew who you were, but it was like, you would give yourself, like, that 10% window of just being, and then the rest was this, then you do this, then you do this, and you do this, and you know...
Eventually, I'd reach a goal that I didn't even know that would be something that I really, really wanted. You know,
but
what I mean?
but
like it seemed like it
when you investigated why you wanted it, you'd have no basis except for this is what this person said you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was researched that you have to do to be this, and I'm like, right, but why do you want to be that?
Yeah, thank you for helping me clarify that, because I feel like this is a difficult thing for me to explain. But just reading it really resonated with me, and then you and I had a chat about it, and I felt like what you were saying now and what you were saying then was exactly what I think people will get from this book, and I hope that... I don't have the author's name, but it's called The Path. Brand new. And
see, this is what I love about reading things that make me uncomfortable. And that's exactly it. That's the other thing about life, where we've come to this place, too, where it's a beautiful message to say we should feel good, and it's a beautiful message to say, you know, follow your dreams, follow your passion. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it, whatever. Yeah, but that needs to have some caveats, some things in the back. That needs to have some clarification, because there are things that are uncomfortable. Like when we talk about work, you know, we do our passion. We love what we do. It's beyond what we do for, it is our life. Mm-hmm. There's no separation between business and life. Like it is what we do. It is our passion. It is our mission in life to do what we do. And we love it, and I'm grateful every single day. But at the same time, we worked our ass off for it. Nothing was handed. Not a dollar, not a promotion, there was no kick. Like, we worked our butts off. So if we were still in the mindset of introductory spirituality, fluffy spirituality, we would have said, well, if we're following our passion, it just should be smooth, and money should just flow at us, and I should work 4 hours a day. Or no, 4 hours a week. 4-hour work week. And then I should be able to jaunt on the beach in a bikini and drink smoothies, right? And if it's not that, then I'm doing something wrong. Well, I'm not on my path. It's not my passion. It's not right. No. Sometimes you got to buckle down for 5 years and work 12, 15 hours a day.
Well, how about since we were 17? I mean... 7 days a week.
Honey, I've been on the hustle since I was 9.
That's true.
I almost said that to your friend the other day when we were having a conversation, and she was saying about being tired, whatever, and I felt like just grabbing her arm and going, honey, I've been hustling since I've been 9 years old. I get you.
Oh my gosh, so true. I was watching a video on YouTube this morning, some sort of motivational video, yeah. And they were talking about the difference between them being told that they were lucky because they were an overnight success. Ugh. And it reminded me of this podcast where we were trying to it was an article in Psychology Today, and they were trying to redefine luck and what it meant sort of in the research to be lucky. And I really regretted some of the things I said because I was trying to go with the definition of the Psychology Today paper, and it didn't represent my definition of luck. Yeah. And this person was talking about how people were telling him that he was an overnight success. Yeah. And he was like, since I was 14, I've been working 20 hours a day.
Right.
And I really resonated with that because that is us.
But to this day, people talk down to me. Mm-hmm. I had someone the other day that emailed me and basically wanted something for free, but then put at the last of it, I know you have a business and you do stuff. And I know, but you are so successful and you've had such good fortune and it just seems so easy and so fun. And it's like, if it seems those things, it's because I see beauty in those things. I make it look easy. I make it look fun. What goes on behind the scenes, and like we should put the graphic in here, the success graphic. What goes on behind the scenes in 99.9% of situations that are actually successful, you have no idea what led to that. Yeah. And just because something looks easy or, you know, and it goes back to that conversation when we first started our business, people in your family especially kept saying to me, are you going to get a real job?
Well, yeah, because it wasn't...
And they were and I was like, this is a career. Like, I'm setting a foundation.
But it was hard to see, definitely.
And then they would say, but I don't understand. Do you make money?
Right.
How do you make money? Like, and there's a difference between asking questions and then just trying to trick yourself to ask questions because you don't want to look at the reality of how hard people are working or how much it takes to get something or do something, you know. Anyway.
For sure. Well, I really wanted to share one example about how this idea that is presented about these Chinese philosophers applies to weight loss. In my case specifically, I identified from the age of 12 to 20 as an athlete. That's who I was. That's what I was. When I got to medical school, there wasn't a time to be an athlete. It wasn't applicable. There was no point to it.
No, there was no time.
There was no time. My fitness was tied to being an athlete. My exercise was tied to being an athlete. My balance in life, I felt, for a core part of my life, was tied to being an athlete. That part of me fell away. I gained 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. In losing that weight, I had to re-identify what fitness and healthy lifestyle meant for me. And in doing that, and I was thinking about this today as I'm on the elliptical, pushing it, you know what I mean? I'm not here to be an athlete. Right. I'm here to be healthy.
Right.
I'm contributing to my health and wellness. I'm not on this piece of cardio equipment. I'm not doing these weights. I'm not doing these things so that I can beat someone on the basketball court. You know what I mean? I've had to redefine, and I did lose the 30 pounds. Do you know what I mean? Like, I put in the work, but this idea of redefining yourself is okay. It's good. It's helpful. It's change. It's positive.
And it's so unfamiliar to us, to our core, because where we come from, it's an endearing term to say, he's never changed. He's always been the same.
Always been the same.
So when David and I went through radical changes, it actually offended our community back east. A lot of people. Mm-hmm. Quite a few people. Yeah. What are you saying? Like, our community isn't good enough? You need to be different? Like, are you saying our tribe isn't good enough? You need to be different? You know, things we've always done. It's not... They took it as a personal slight when we were like, okay, when we realized we were just who we were based on conditioning and experiences.
Well, lots of things. Why wouldn't you be a quote-unquote real doctor?
Yeah.
What is holistic nutrition? Why wouldn't you just be a nutritionist?
Yeah. Working online isn't a thing.
Right.
You can't make money online. That was a big one.
Yeah. So, I mean, these
No,
things...
you're too positive. That was another one. You're being too positive. Life is hard. You're just going to get disappointed.
And it's so... I remember driving across the country the first time we did it. I remember talking like that. I remember saying, you know, the world is against us. We have to work ourselves. We have to push against these external forces. I remember saying that out loud.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, that's how I used to go into every mindset of everything. Like, losing weight, I thought that, you know, for myself, because I didn't have a representation of what I wanted to be, there was no physical thing I could find, like me, that I wanted to be. My lifestyle that I dreamed of wasn't how I grew up. I didn't have any representation of that. So then it seemed like it was an impossibility because it had never been done, right? Mm-hmm. With my genetics, with my situation, it had never been done. All the things in my life, my business, my physical body, my mindset, my life that I currently live right now, my daily thought pattern, there was no representation of it. Right. And so why would I believe that it could ever happen? I didn't see it. There's no genetic example. I had no whatever, right? So I was...
Yeah, how could you possibly fathom?
I was drawing out of quote-unquote unreality. Mm-hmm. So when I used to go at things, like, say, losing weight, I would go at it from, I need to catch up to all these gifted, genetically perfect people that have that God's hand, whatever, and I was running against... I thought life was keeping me trapped. Never good enough. I was never good enough. Never good enough. And then I never got good enough. Mm-hmm. Like, I never got to where I thought I could even be potentially. The dream of who I thought I could be, I never even got, you know, close, because I thought life was against me. There were special people. The special life was reserved for the special people. You know, and I was told those types of things growing up. Yeah. And it was from, like, we talk about childhood wounds and all these things, and I always want to preface that, you know, parents usually, a lot of the times, do things out of love. They're trying to protect you. They're trying to guide you. They're speaking from their experiences. Definitely. But it can be super damaging. I remember I went to Mexico for the first time, and there was people from Canada that were just, like, doing the exercise, whatever. And at the time, I was, like, 23. I had my own business for so long. I had my own home. I felt like a 45-year-old burnt-out person. I hated my life. And I just remember I said to my dad, I said, oh my gosh, like, these people, you know, just make enough money to live here, but they seem so free. I said, I would love to do this for a year. Like, they're just running children's programs and whatever. I said, gosh, maybe this is something I could do for a year and just, you know, figure out my life again. And he just very seriously looked at me and grabbed my hand and said, honey, these people are really special and gifted.
Oh my goodness.
You know, they're talented. They can dance. They can sing. They can entertain children. They can, and, you know, they're special. And I just thought, what? It broke my brain. But he was raised by people that were in the Depression, and that, you know, you get a job, you get a solid job, you get a job with the government, and then you stick with that job, and you save every single penny, and you never spend more, and you get a car, and then you drive that car your whole life, and then you pay off that house as fast as you can, and then you bank everything else, and, right? Like, that's where he was coming from.
Yeah.
And him and I talking were just, like, two different languages, but, like, he didn't hear what he was saying to me.
No, of course.
He didn't hear he was saying that I wasn't good enough to just do this stupid job.
Yeah.
Of basically playing with children.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but it's... And then, but that was my inner dialogue. I was really projecting my inner dialogue onto him, and he was saying it back to me. Because in reality, when I then did make very decisive things, he didn't talk to me like that anymore.
No, definitely.
You know, when I came to him and said, by the way, I'm giving away my business, and I'm selling my house, and I'm moving away, and I'm changing everything. I was so definitive about that.
He was like, okay.
Well, actually, he came over and said, well, why don't you just sell the house yourself? And he brought it for sale sign, nailed it in my front lawn, and said, you can be your own real estate agent.
Oh, my goodness.
You've done it before. And I was like, yes, I can, right? Like, that's how it shifted. Like, I could be my own real estate agent, move away, change my career, no problem.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do this dancing on a stage with kids. Anyway, you know, but that's our inner dialogue. That's our stuff.
It's so funny, and I think you mentioned pretending at one point. You had to pretend. You had to envision something different.
Oh, I spent, I'd say, 2 hardcore years just pretending.
And that's the next point in the book. I mean, this is another one of the philosophies: is adults need to get back to pretending, being creative, looking at things differently. Because sometimes there's going to be situations where you need to, but also it can be helpful because it can help you figure out how to grow, how to change, what feels right.
Right.
It's really important. Gosh, I mean,
and with that, part of that is dropping into, and I call it dropping into because I just feel like it's such a grounding feeling, dropping into, and I sometimes use the term like being the man of the room or like the gentleman of the room, and sometimes I know that doesn't translate, but like deep, almost a relaxation, surrender to, okay, things, I have to shift the way I'm thinking, like a surrender to what is, and then allow yourself to come up with creative solutions. Mm-hmm. You know, like when things used to happen in business that used to upset me, or be like, if it was a problem, it's a problem, like it's bad, I'd go up here. And I'd get heightened, and I'd be like, what am I going to do? I've never dealt with this before. How could I? In the running dialogue, right? Now when things happen, I drop down. And I think, okay, take a deep breath. You know, what would a flexible, you know, the ideal, like the gentleman, the hero in the movie, what would he come in and do type thing?
Yeah, the masculine energy. Sometimes it's helpful to think about masculine and feminine. You can use both words.
The ideal of it.
Yeah.
You know, the grounded, okay, this can be resolved, whatever. You know, being flexible in that sense.
Oh, it's so helpful for your growth. It's so helpful for so many things. I mean, it's helpful for your health because you're shifting to parasympathetic response.
And it changes everything because you don't start running on past experiences. I think the biggest thing of humans, the biggest lie we're told is what has always been has to be what always is. Mm-hmm. You know?
That is the biggest lie, yeah.
It's a huge lie. You can create things that have never happened before in your life. You know, is it going to be easy and pleasurable every step of the way? Maybe for a few people. There's a high probability that there'll be growing pains. Just like giving birth is painful. Just like growing pains are painful. You know, puberty is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. But it's all because it's big shifts, big changes. And if you just hold steady to the vision and do the steps and also stay flexible in your thoughts and how you deal and, you know, let things fall into place. Like we talk about all the time, like, you know, I thought my career was going to go even in this way, a different way. And I was very upset when things didn't go those ways. Thank God it didn't. Mm-hmm. Who I am today would be mortified.
Oh yeah, completely.
You know?
Completely. Well, and I mean, for me, in my example, it was, well, when I started to try to lose that weight again, it was trying to be an athlete. Like when I'm working out, that's being an athlete.
You went back to your old...
You go back to the old pattern, and I mean, in a situation where you're working so many hours per day, that just causes burnout. I mean, it doesn't do anything, and you know what I mean? There's no point in doing that.
But also in your head, you thought the only way to get into shape is to
Exactly.
act like that.
This is it.
That
This
was the
is what you
biggest
do.
shift with you that I physically saw.
2-a-day workouts, you know, right,
Like,
it's
and
crazy.
it had to be this intensity and this whatever, and, you know...
It's not balance.
You know, you had to go do it by yourself, and it was very different.
Yeah, it didn't last. It's not sustainable.
Right, but you could have told yourself at that moment, well, I can't do the athlete stuff,
Yep.
then I'm 30 pounds heavier now for the rest of my
This
life.
is me, 210.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when I was young, I used to be... That's what a lot of men tell themselves. Like, I can't do that, and I like to eat and drink, and I'm never going to have the time to exercise like that again, so this is my body now.
Yeah.
And you could have surrendered to that, but you decided, nope, there's another option here.
Exactly. That's our show for today. That's Healthy Rebel Radio. Thank you so much for helping me clarify this message, because I think it's really powerful.
I'm not going to really say that I definitely clarified as much as I muddied it a bit. I just added all the things that were coming up for me. But
your path may not be the path that you think that it is.
yeah, and it's totally
And that's
cool.
good. That's a good
It's actually better.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if
you can be open to more.
Well, if inspiration strikes, then it's really meant to be. And if life guides you in a specific way, like if you understand that life is for you and you start surrendering into... And that doesn't mean that you don't work. You work your butt off, but then you surrender to things being maybe a little different than what you thought. They'll be so much better. Yeah. So much richer. There's just so much out there. Like, our thoughts are so limited. Our vision for ourselves is so limited compared to what, like, nature, whatever word you want to use, life's vision for us. Mm-hmm. Our greatest yet to be is just so much richer than our stupid little tiny boxed in, this is what it is, you know?
Definitely.
What if you could be better? Your life could be better than anything you've ever witnessed, anything you've ever manifested before, anything you've ever seen someone else manifest before. What if it could be better than you ever dreamed of, but it was your thinking, this is how it's supposed to look, was the thing holding you back?
Oh yeah, and I've read books where just having that thought has resulted in spontaneous healing. Just being open to that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that can... Just thinking that thought...
There's tons of
can
case studies
break open your heart to the most magnificent way.
Exactly.
Golden Buddha. Look it up.
Love it. That's Healthy Rebel Radio. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamieHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamieHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamieHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamieHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.